So it's Groundhog Day. So I'm just sitting here and crocheting and looking for movies, right? And so I was watching this one movie, and I've done a couple of little TikToks on it because it has such a good demonstration of how this generational dysfunction works. And so I was all into that. And then while it was paused, because I'd been thinking about, I knew there was something I wanted to talk about, and then it came to me all of a sudden. I remembered, and it was one of the things. There was more, but like I've been getting flooded, like it's crazy. Even last night, I was in such a deep sleep. I don't think I was anywhere near my body, but I didn't ever wake up until 5, and Stella kept trying to wake me up, but I was deep gone, man. And anyways, so while I was posting that, this video came across, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta talk about this because I've already talked about it. And so, okay, there's a couple things. So, one of the things is the thing that I had forgotten earlier that I wanted to talk about was I am so full of snot. I can't even tell you. It's so hard to swallow. It's like everything is so stopped up. And it's whatever these, it's the atmospheric bio weapon. And I just made a cup of tea. So that's what I was doing while I was watching that video and downloading. So, anyways, what I wanted to say was, hold on. So, yesterday, when it's so cold and rainy, I just drink hot tea all day long. I got to get off this half and half. And I know that is probably could be a cause of the mucus because I don't typically, well, I have eaten some cheese even lately because normally I don't really do much dairy. I just never liked it. I have really had some epiphanies about meat and how we eat all sorts of stuff. Like there's lots of stuff that they're showing me and telling me all the time that I don't even talk about. But but the things I know that are important that I'm supposed to be talking about are like awakening things and healing things, and that that is what is the evolution of us, and and how important it is because without change, there would be no change. We have to go through this trauma, and it's just sad to see how really lost humans and mankind had become, that we have to go this far for people to wake up. It's absolutely mind-blowing to me. So, anyways, one of the things when I was talking about like the energy flipping back, I've been talking about this a lot, and how the energy is flipping back and people are going to see themselves. And, I've talked often about this whole duetting Stitch thing and how these people get in these battles and stuff. And it is like, some of these groups develop little like civil war within themselves or something, these different people, and then they start picking sides and stuff. And like I said, I stay in my own lane. I just stay to myself. And my hashtags I always do are just like awakening, healing, or something to do, with the anti-government, like for sure. It's always, stuff like that. Just wake the fuck up. And so I don't know. And I know hashtags is one of the things how these people get found. And the fact that they all just want to go live all the time. They go live just them doing nothing but sitting there just reading comments, just trying to interact with people. And, that is how you're getting found. That's the lure. They're always luring money, attention, fame, and fortune. It's the thing that they have gotten people who have chased that their whole lives. Oh, this will make me happy. It's because I don't have it. That's why I'm not happy. If I just get this, I'll be so much happier. And then anybody who has gone through that path in life can tell you that they weren't any happier. As a matter of fact, it just adds a whole new set of complications. As a matter of fact, you start interacting with people who are very seedy and underhanded for what they will do to get some of that green stuff, And so anyways, on the Stitch and the majig, the duet thing. And so, I had noticed, because remember all the way back when I had said nerdy white guys started doing that to me, trying to pull me into like, what are you trying to do, dude? Like, you think I'm going to start going into this like, well, my opinion, like, fuck, I don't care what your opinion is. I got my own, and I'm not gonna fight with you. There's no one opinion for us all, and hopefully everybody can develop their own. That's what I push for. And so he was trying to, I think, provoke that, what I think is going on in all these different groups. And I was just, I'm down, like, nah, I'm not into it. So, I don't do it. I don't have a fragile ego that they can just, get me to try and go into some sort of public war with over opinions. Like, fuck that. And then that other guy who had just, and nerdy white guy, I just stopped following him. But the last time I had seen, he was still following me. So I don't know how I never see his videos. So I don't know that he never sees mine. Excuse me, drama. Just lay on the bed. Ugh, she's so dramatic. I just want to get her a little farm, and I'm gonna get her a little baby to raise. I'm gonna get her a little. She needs a pack. She needs some. She's so lonely. And then she's always in pain, and then she's always like, I know it is her hips, and I have tried everything. I know people always send me like, oh, try this, try that. But she's just had this hip deformity her whole life, and it has just deteriorated. And everything, the whole thing is there could be more natural things. I'm doing everything natural I can, but this weather is it's her enemy. It's what I dread. It's what I have come to find through this quarantine. And then that's where I had to go into a whole nother spiritual understanding of what she's going through, and also how I relate it to our past life together, where I know she's the one who killed me and she's a predatory animal. And if she had predatory lives like that, then she's going to go through this experience, is opening her mind to pain. And so I completely get when they show me that stuff, why there's a purpose to what she's going through. And it's selfish of me to think that she doesn't have her own purpose. Like, that is very egocentric of me to think that another living being, just because they don't participate in my realm of reality, that they are any less than me. So anyways, but she gets in these moods, and she's very dramatic, and she thinks I'm a god. She makes that clear all the time. She gets mad at me when it rains. But I know she's also grumpy and she's in pain, but that's what happens with arthritis. And I know it's all in all of her joints. And man, she's just on every natural thing I can, and I don't do the pharmaceuticals. She wants to be close to me. I don't do the pharmaceuticals because the liver damage and, bone deterioration and stuff. And then the neurological decline. And I don't know. I think that there's definitely something with the poisons and stuff going on that interfered, something that went so deep in her ear. But it's just something's not healed. The way she won't get on the couch, the way she is still having dizziness. And, I know she's frustrated. I just tell her all the time, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. It's getting close. I promise. I'm going to get you a little farm. I was even telling her I'm going to get her own little house. Have like a walk-in shower, so she can get bathed and stuff in there. And then, a little room with their beds, and another little room, and have a lot of windows because she likes to look out. But a really cool, like, dog house that's much, much bigger, And then plus I told her I was going to get her a barn. She loved that barn when we were at that farm, and the way she just went out there and laid. So anyways, I can just see all this stuff in my head. And I know when I'm manifesting that I know, but you just don't ever know when it's coming or when it's going to be. I mean, there was so much details on this place when I got it to what I had been manifesting, and I didn't even know. So there's certain things that you don't know and you won't be able to see and you don't have control over. And I don't know, I personally, with my beliefs in destiny, and this is a scripted event, is that when we are seeing things, it is a knowing of what's to come. And so the things that we're led to manifest are things in our future that we're seeing ahead. And that is why we know that that's going to be ours and we want it. So we can see ahead, and then we know what is the future. And then it is kind of, it is so much, because they can show you things that it's like, no way. Like, I think that there's homeless people who, every time a home is shown to them, and they just shut it down, and they're on, that puts them on this other path. But see, I think no matter what, it was always the path they were going to choose, and that was the lesson and the way they were going to learn their lessons. It was always going to play out that way. I just think everything is very controlled and very designed. And, it's illusion to think we have control, and that there's a purpose is about us growing and expanding. Our consciousness doing it through this expands the whole universe, expands our higher self, expands all the watchers, expands everything in the whole solar system. And so it's really important to me. And stuff. But the one thing, what I have been talking about was like, there's people who are kind of at the top, and they think like they've got it all going on. And I said, a lot of these people who are up there, it's going to be a part of their lesson plan to the exposure, that going in the classroom and you're the only one who's naked feeling. And a lot of them are going to be going through that, but there's huge lessons in that. And it's going to feel very exposed. And they, that was part of what they wanted, to have this really public exposure of themselves. There's a lot of healing and stuff that would come up from that. But, when I was talking about that, and I keep seeing it happening, but this one was a really good one. Because the way that she approached it. And so she is really big in the advocacy for the kids and the traffic and the harvest situations and stuff like that. And so she's really outspoken, and she gets, she is like a mover and shaker in it. She's not just like, going out and showing articles or whatever. She's out there being a part of trying to change some laws, and like a real activist in the movement. And it has a lot of connections apparently. And then she gets a lot of people who are trying to escape, who have escaped, who are looking for resources and looking to get their story out there. Because a lot of people, they found you can't go through the judicial or anything. They're not there to protect you. And you try and go to the media, and they're there to disarm your character. So it is the whole system works towards keeping the truth quiet. Anything that happens in these pockets. That's why it's such central locations with the poisoning. And that's why, although we're all having extreme poisoning right now, it's very central over how each place is being attacked, and that is all for their purpose. So they think we can't connect the dots, but see, they weren't, they didn't, I don't think that they really knew what the awakening was, that they really understood it. But it's just this connection with your soul. It's just to begin to see through your soul's eyes and stop and pull free from your living eyes. It's more of a connection to your spirit realm, instead of this connection to this, it's a game, it's a video game, and people just get all caught up in it. So anyways, she has a huge following, I think. I've seen a couple of her videos, but usually I go by because I already know all about that situation and what's going on there. And it is horrible, and I don't need to beat a dead horse and go over it every time somebody wants to talk about it. It's tragic. And I can just keep spreading the word and telling more and more people about it, and I try and do that. So the I think anybody who listens to me talk knows, what I'm saying about, I am trying to bring awareness. It's all about awareness and the awakening, and then connection to, it's so multi-layered. Like there's so much to it. That is why I'm always saying, like, there's so many people and they think they're awake, and it's not even close. You're just like in the first chapter of a novel, dude. And so it's like an ever expansive thing. Like the world just keeps opening up and opening up like a flower that is blooming as you expand your consciousness. It's really trippy. But anyways, so she is super, has a huge following apparently. And I don't know what the drama is. I only saw her video coming out as like an apology video, I would call it, per se, maybe. I don't know what else to call it. But so she was apologizing to the creator who was under attack, and apparently I think there was a couple, but so she was doing the stitches and the duets. And see, I don't know, you could just feel when it gets done to you, it's yuck. It's just yucky. And it's like, why are you trying to use me to make your point? Why don't you just stand on your own point? Why can't you be a tree and just stand alone on yourself? And then when they pull you into like, it's just strange. And it is like, are they just trying to, especially if your account is growing faster than theirs, and it's like, are you trying to just get attention? Are you trying to, like, what are you doing? Like, why would you be doing this? If you have a message to get out in the world, why don't you just out there putting it out there? There's a lot of people though, like the whole social media thing has got a lot of 3D, superficial, artificial, notice me kind of stuff going on, instead of just being like, but it has become a huge vehicle for people who are awake, people out there sharing their stories. Like there's this one lady, and I really like her, and she I guess she is a lesbian. She was in a couple relationship with the same sex, and I had 3 kids, and I don't know all the details of the kid situation, but anyways, when they split, the woman took the kids and won't let this lady see the kids, and the lady and she's finding out the judicial, how corrupt it is, and all of this stuff, and she's just distraught all the time. She puts all her time into her dogs, but oh my God, she's so deeply in her heart sad. You can just see it in her face every time. Just picturing her face is gonna make me cry, because I can feel how she is feeling. And she is, but I have seen so much lately of how much she's helping other people who are going through that stuff. Like they've found her. And so that is the cool thing, is when people are out there, like a lot of people who have dependency issues and stuff. There's people who are super terminally ill who are finding huge groups. And to me, like when I hear them, I'm just like, it's not my scene, but it's somebody's scene. And that is the cool thing that they, I think, weren't banking on so much. But so anyways, but it can be really toxic, and a lot of people start doing toxic things to kind of feed into some other thing. But when people are finding you, they they find something that they're connecting with you. And so the other people, I don't know, it's toxic. I don't get the stitching duet thing all the time. And the only time I think I did it was when the girl asked me to, because I said something about getting the links for the zeolite stuff, because she had a code and I was trying to help her out, and she's like, well, you can get your own code. And I was like, no, it's cool. You can have it. She's a single mom with 2 kids and another one on her way. Like, no, dude, you take it. I'll give them all to you. I don't care. And so anyways, I was constantly, and so she said to do a duet with her thing so that they could link up to it. But I just don't do those things because I always just think it feels weird. And so I always have a bad feeling about him. But so she apparently, and I see people doing them all the time, and it becomes, I just am always going by them. That's, I don't know all the different players, but so I don't know how divisive some of these people have become. It seems like people have gotten so divisive, they'll go into the person who they're completely against. They'll go in and start doing these duet stitch battles or something. It's very toxic to me, this whole scene. But so whatever she did, and I don't know who this person was, it seemed like her name was Tara or something, but she was talking about, she was really apologizing. She's really sorry. And everybody who did this, I don't want you to follow him anymore. Go off and don't follow me. This is so toxic. I cannot believe anyone would do this. And so whatever she was duetting or Stitch or something, her followers then went to the other person's and started doing death threats and all sorts of stuff. It became like a really bad situation or something. And I keep seeing these people talking about these bullies that are doing this, that are causing people to kill themselves. And I even saw one video being shared of that one lady, and she did do that. She was being bullied in her last live. She was saying all this stuff, and somebody got a video of it, and then she went and killed herself over the bullies. And so this girl was taking responsibility for what had happened, and she was calling herself out and saying, that she hadn't thought it through, and how that could turn around on somebody else like that. And now, she feels bad, and she's going to step back. She's going to step back from social media for a while and really do some self-reflection and really try and understand herself. And see, that is what I think, the people who can humble themselves like that and say, man, I can't believe I did that. Like, I didn't even see that. And because that is the thing, that is the awakening, is you're just beginning to see more. You're beginning to see past what you were able to see before, because everybody has the ability to see what they can see. And most people are so focused on their own pain and trauma that they don't see past that and see into other people, like, oh, maybe they didn't mean it the way I took it. Like, oh, maybe. But everybody is so focused on how they're being affected, and everybody's so sensitive. And that is part of what's been coming to the surface when you see is that has been purging out in all this stuff with the generational trauma. There was another, oh yeah, this one, yeah, this was the one too. Oh my gosh. And do you remember, I was like a week ago, I think, and I was talking about the lady who she is, I don't know if she lives in the moors or what, but she lives out somewhere, and she lives somewhere in England, and or it could be Ireland. No, her accent, no, I wouldn't say it's definitely it's somewhere in Europe, and it's somewhere old. And then that where she started having, where she was seeing them outside of her eyes, but she already was awareness of ghosts. Like, she knew her family members were hanging out, so she was already marketing her. And this is another one basically too. So she's another one who is marketing herself as spiritual, and so she calls herself out in this video that I just caught, of why I was like, oh my god, I gotta go talk about this. So she this one, so she started talking to that spirit. It's like she saw something out of the corner of her eye. It was right that same time when I had seen that little, where I said there looks like a little creepy girl in white in my room. I hadn't seen her before, and I'm ignoring her. And so this lady, and I said it's just weird because this lady did this video at the same time. And so she had seen a little girl. So she decided to start communicating. I will ask them, like, what are you doing here or something? What do you want? But I think it's an energy. There's certain energies that I push back. I'm just like, no, keep away. I don't want to talk to you. Go away. And but there's other ones that are like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And that's where I got like observing, and they don't just say things, like they show things and stuff. So I completely understand about this observing and the watchers and all that, especially since I was a kid. They were already putting that in my head when they were explaining to me, like, this is like a zoo. And there's more things, like all of a sudden some more things came to my mind about this, when I was a kid, and that driving safari drive land thing came popular. We had it in Dallas, and I think that they popped up. There was some more, and I had just watched The Omen the other day, and she went in one, and then I had seen something talking about that scene, and that it really was super dangerous scene. I don't know, but anyways, it's just weird. There's There's always synchronicity. Like, it's weird, the synchronicities, when you really start paying attention. The signs are all around you. But so this chick, so she decides to communicate and asking, and the thing starts saying that, and you gotta remember, like, it's weird how people think like every energy out there is like on the same language as you. Like, they're picking, like, they're your best ability of translating your information. That's the best ability they have in translating what you're saying. It's like the same as anybody who doesn't speak the same language. It's a lot of assumption, and it's an energy. And so this lady, when she saw the one, then she said, who are you, or whatever. And then she started feeding the information, are you a demon and stuff, because she said demons can hide and pretend they're kids and make you think whatever and stuff like that. And so that's where I keep on being like, people got to stop with the like demon. Like, it's energy. You got to start understanding you're working with energy. And it's not conscious energy. It's not conscious. Like, we are consciousness, and they are not consciousness. They are developing consciousness. Like, they're just an underdeveloped energy, I guess you could kind of call it. And so, hold on. Now it's starting to get kind of cold. So, anyways, so she was talking to the thing, and then in her conversations, it's a demon, it's a land spirit, and it is guarding the land and stuff. And then she even said I could touch her, remember? And then I was like, oh my God, do not tell things to touch. You do not get familiar with spirits and stuff like that. I mean, it's different when it's your family. It's an energy. You can feel them. You can communicate with them all day long. And you can tell. You have a feeling, just like when you were around them before. You can recognize them. Sometimes you can smell them. Sometimes, you may be able to see a shadow, or maybe they'll pop up in your mind's eye, but you will know. And so, and they'll bring a smell to you that is familiar to you, that you will think of them when the smell comes. It's weird, but I've had that happen a lot. And so, anyways, so I said, don't, I even left a message in her thing and said, don't do that. And I guess a lot of her messages were do a clearing and sage and all this kind of stuff. And so she didn't even say anything about like the message I sent. Like, maybe she said something, I don't know. I don't know. But anyways, I was saying, don't get familiar. Don't start like, let's have bonding. But I don't think she obviously paid mind no mind, because that's exactly what she did do. She decided to develop a relationship. She decided this is like a Ghost in Mrs. Canterville or something. It's like, dude, what in the hell? And she thought that they were making this total bond, and he's sharing information, and, that feeding her ego. And so he's sharing information, and she's just bonding, and she's, just spending all this time talking with them. And he starts saying, you got to get the family members, get up on out of here. And so she would even say, well, are you evil? Do you have ill intentions or whatever? And, he would get quiet or whatever. She said sometimes he would even pout, but he would always come back. And so, and that's manipulation, for one thing. And I don't know if he wasn't answering or whatever, but I have said this before. There's a lot of them that they don't have ill intention. They're playful. They're just fucking with you because they're just playful energy. It's like a little critter outside or something, or a little kitten. It's just an energy that is fucking with you. And so it isn't mean-spirited or out to harm you. It's just having fun with you. And the energy you give it is what feeds it. If it doesn't get what you are, if it doesn't like what you're giving out, it'll just move on. And but I've got all sorts of them around here, especially whatever one is in the kitchen. And I've done clearings and stuff. And I know, and I've told ones that have ill intention and stuff, get the fuck out. So, I know it is just playful energy, like having a little mouse in the kitchen or something that is just likes to hang out and have fun, is playful and stuff. So I know it isn't like harmful, is going to get me or something, but I don't pay it any mind. When it does something, like the other day when that was just knocked right out of my hand when I was doing all that fucking with my kombucha, that I was filtering it, and it knocked it and all that fucking all over the counter. And but I was not gonna give it. You got to figure out, like, everybody's got to figure this stuff out. And I know it's so hard when people have been taught that this realm isn't real. I mean, but it is real. And so, anyways, so this thing started getting bossy to her and wanted her family out, wanted her all to itself. And what did I say? I said, you start becoming familiar, it's going to start wanting to overtake you. It's going to like get domineering. It's going to get like, what is that word? Possessive, super possessive. And as why people become possessed. Like this thing becomes so possessive. And so it starts telling her things, and it started tricking her. And she was completely being misled. And she said that after she came back. And she was like, I thought I was so spiritual. I thought I was so awake. I thought I was so blah, blah, blah. And it was tricking me. And I wasn't seeing it. I wasn't, she's using discernment. I don't know. I don't know how it was tricking her so much, but it was definitely tricking her. And then she ran into some medium or some holy man of her island place, and she was out there, and he started talking to her about the spirit, saying that she needed to quit interacting or whatever, and that it was a trickster. It was tricking her. And that is what they do. And I've had those these trickster ones around, and they can break stuff in your house, and you're getting so mad and flustered, and that is exciting to them. That's fun. And so, but they aren't trying to hurt or harm you. It's you giving them a reaction. So anyways, but so this guy was telling her it was a trickster, and it was making her a fool. And she needed to quit interacting because it wasn't a very powerful, strong spirit, but it was siphoning her energy. She was giving it energy. And so it was making it more powerful. And that is what I have said so many times, where people say about these demons and stuff, you're creating that. You are making that happen. You're feeding that energy. You're putting that energy into that. And you're creating it in some cases, giving it names and stuff, but you are making that for yourself. And that's what she was doing. She was making like her little, this holy guy who's sitting there giving her the meaning of life as she's communicating with this spirit that was tricking her like a card shark. And she was feeding it though, and she was coming up with what she believed, and he was playing on that. And when you have a spirit that has not any consciousness, it's just an energy. It is not consciously going through thought. That is what we are developing as. And look at how it is so easily to distract someone from expanding their own consciousness. And then you can see how this is like in the soul part of the process to go through, is this ever expanding self knowing of your evolution to who you are. It is constantly evolving. And that was the other thing too, that the movie that I was watching is an old Lifetime movie, like Joanna Kearns, Hilary Swank is the teenage daughter, and I can't remember what it's called, like Terror in the Night or something. And but it shows so well about this family dynamics of pain and trauma and the child rearing and the generational development of trauma and stuff. And it's so weird because the grandma reminds me so much of my grandma. And my grandma, she, the one who was the nurse who, was just, oh, let me get another drink before I stop to cold. Hold on. So she was the grandma who was the nurse who, her husband left her with 4 kids, and then he was a womanizer and just went off, and she never had any relationship with her family ever. My mom never knew any of those people or anything. So she just cut that whole family off. And that's why when I started knowing more about that, God, my nose is running so much. And when I started knowing so much more about the orphan train and how it spread out, and she was in, I think, South Dakota. Could have been North Dakota. I think South Dakota. Oh, where was that? Wasn't Fargo? It was a place though that was a well-known place. That's where she's from. Now I can't think of the name of it. I've got too many names going in my head. But so she was supposedly grew up there in some family that was so horrible that she escaped, went down and moved away and all this stuff. And then she ends up marrying somebody who is a womanizing pig and has a bunch of kids. He blows off his kids and just goes about his womanizing ways. And he is a rich farmer. He was super, super rich. Like my mom's still living off of his money from his death. And there was more stuff, so much scammy shit that goes on, man. I swear to God. That's a whole nother thing I could go off on. That would be long to go, is how people will screw each other over for money in families when someone passes. It's disgusting. But anyways, so but that is what people value, and people have to learn. And sometimes people don't learn until they go in their life review and see what a scumbag they were. So anyways, but that's for each soul to expand and learn. It's not for me to judge. It's not for me to decide. I mean, I came here willingly to go through this trauma, I know that. And there's nobody to blame but myself. I know you can't blame, oh, my mom, if she just would have had that abortion, would have worked, damn it. I don't think of life like that. So, anyways, that grandma, she was kind of bitter, and I don't know what all trauma she went through in her family and stuff. And I don't know if she was one of the orphan trained kids, And that was, I think, after the last reset. And then they had to redistribute a bunch of kids that there was no parents. And they're trying to do that right now, too. But yeah, they redistributed to people at the meat factory. These fucking weirdos. So then, so she went, she was just angry and bitter and kind of withdrawn. She's always hanging out with me now. She's not, she was the one when the medium was talking, that she was the one who wanted to know if I wanted her to go haunt my ex, which was so funny and out of character. It was so hilarious for her. But so, she has a really fun side, but life brings sometimes the worst down on people. It's so hard. And sometimes the most gentle, loving people are suffering the most. So there's no way for anybody to judge and think that they understand, who's good and who's bad and all that stuff. Until that's so true, until you've walked a day in someone's shoes, you really do not know. And it's impossible. Because even if you were to walk a day in their shoes, you're still coming from your own perspective of life. And their life could seem like a dream come true, or it could seem like a horrible nightmare. You just don't know. It's all by perception. And nobody else's perception matters about your life except for your own and what you are doing to grow and to change. And it's so much about ancestral with the healing. And they're always showing this to me and really pointing it out to me about how this generational stuff goes on. And my mom was so withdrawn from me when I was a teenager. And she left home She got pregnant with me when she was 16. They tried to do the abortion pill, it didn't work. And so she ended up having to get married. And so she left home, and she was the oldest daughter. And so she left home and went on her own. But see, this is one thing, and it shows us in this movie. It stands out to me. I don't know if it stands out to everybody, but it stands out to me. Is that the mom still wants the mom who's kind of disconnected, still wants that mom's love, and still wants that mom's like not adoration but acceptance, like you're doing such a good job, I'm proud of you, but not just in empty words. They still want their parent to like acknowledge them in some way, of saying that they like them or appreciate them. I think it comes from just as a soul of how you feel, when another soul is telling you, like, don't do this, do that, all this control and stuff. So I don't know. I think something happens when people are kids that ends up being why they feel so disconnected from their parents, but then they long to have this acceptance or for their parents, like, so anyways. But so she you could tell. There's this one part where the mom is obviously the grandma who's the bitter one, and she even had the hairstyle like my grandma, and she had her bottle of alcohol sitting there. And my grandma was always drinking wine. She would never eat, and she just drank wine all the time. And that is in this family dynamic that was going on. And so the mom, Joanna Kearns, she the grandma, who's such a hard nose, who was probably battered as a child, she's such a hard nose, is telling the other one she's weak. Let her run all over you. She makes the rules. You don't do anything. And so instead of this woman staying focused on her reality from a healed perspective, she goes back to this how to please her mom, how to be a better person, even though her mom comes up and screams right in her face, and you can see her cringe, like it just, because she's showing her how she needs to treat her daughter. And then you need to slap her if that doesn't work. You don't go up and scream in her ear and that doesn't do anything, just slap her. And so you can tell by the look on Joanna Kern's face that she experienced that. And then on top of this, grandma's rejection of self, then she and her two daughters that she had, one ended up pregnant at 14 and running off or something. So then she has those bitter feelings of being a failure, but she's not dealing with any of her pain. So it's going on to the next person. And even if the next person internally has this thing of being like, I want to be a softer, gentler mom, then the wanting to please her mom and feeling like not sure of herself makes her feel more weak and vulnerable. So she trusts that her mom knows more because, like, her daughter is out of control and stuff. And so then she comes in the other mom tells her that she's got to be so much harder. And so then this woman's trying to go against her own instincts and her own pain and trauma to try and be a harder mom like her mom was. And then this other daughter who's taking advantage of her, and she's becoming, so the fourth generation, she's becoming combative and abusive and scratching and hitting her mom. And no, it's the third generation, because it's got the grandma, and then it's got the mom, and then it's got, this is the third generation. It's the fourth generation is where they have you. And in this whole thing, that just is how, it was just being shown to me, how I was seeing it, was this woman's pain and suffering and trauma, and how she's reacting to it, then telling this one, and this one isn't going in for her healing either. She's still wrapped up in trying to get this person she felt rejected by to get this person to accept her. So she's working on that relationship. And then her other daughter is responding to this. And then her husband even comes in and says, you never even set rules for that when you're so busy just sitting there drinking. And so both moms now have gotten to a point where they just sit and drink all day so they don't have to face their own pain and suffering and misery to heal it. And that is why, like, the next generation needs to step up and really make the changes to defeat the patterns that are being set. But it is a lot to do to break free, and it does fracture families. There's a reason why in this awakening there's so many families that are being fractured, so many relationships. Oh my God, it is crazy. I thought there was a lot back in 2020 when it was going on. Now it is like so many more, and so many more horrible, traumatic murders. Oh my God. And so much more with the chowing down afterwards. That is not by accident. Like, if people cannot see that our society has become this sick because of all of us turning and looking the other way, everybody burying their hand and just trying to get a buck. It's up to all of us now to make the change and to recognize and see. We have to see the disaster that we all created because we all did it together by just turning a blind eye while there was suffering that was going on all around us, thinking it was just their problem. It wasn't ours. It was always all of ours. And now we have this sick society that just goes around empty, having sex with strangers, raping, murdering, eating, and we have got a sick, disturbed society that has built from all of this disconnection and this consumerism, but this chasing this artificial world. It was never going to meet people's soul. It's time for us to start developing as souls. This world needs to develop from our heart and soul and stop from our ego and our mind and our desires. And that, I think, is why it's part of this awakening, is why we have to get control. Desires comes in with that emotional need, and it is attached to needing approval from others. And there's such a strong relation to this this independence and the recognition of the dependence that our society is still so willing. Like, there's so many people who are willing just so they can have a paycheck on Friday to endure such fucking trauma. It's perfectly fine. And everybody else, if you don't want to participate, well, I guess I won't see you at the club Friday, and there's so much to this shallow, and it is sad. And that is why I think it's so valid about this generational trauma, is to recognize what generation is having such a hard time, which one is under the most attack. And, it's all part of this stuff of breaking free. And it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of adults and stuff. They're going to be in their own stuff. But there's a lot of deprogramming that has to go on with the kids to really get them. And I think that they're going to go a lot smoother because they don't have as much, artificial, like, carbuncles on their souls. Like, a lot of these people, these older people, they've surrounded their souls with armors and brick walls, and they've got a lot to kind of go through. But kids, theirs is still right there and fragile. That's why it's heartbreaking to see some of the trauma and stuff that are going on, but there is the only good thing is like, that screaming and stuff is, I don't know, like, there's so much torture and stuff going on, so much slow stuff. But when it really is the time, it is really quick. It isn't like when you see some of the stuff that people go through, their soul's not in there. Like, you leave the body, you witness, you watch it just like it's a movie, and that's all it is anyways. Like, we're always watching ourselves. And that is what's trippy too, as you awaken more and you start really getting in that idea of how you're watching yourself. And sometimes you find yourself watching yourself, and this disconnection from how other people see the world. Like, it all goes together. But anyways, I really wanted to talk about those couple of things. About that movie was really showing so much about how it really does affect people. And people really do go against their own inner knowing to please somebody else who they're traumatized by. It's just trauma after trauma after trauma that just goes through generation after generation. And nobody takes the time to stop and heal. And that is why everybody, like everything, is going to hit into this. It's like I keep seeing like that concrete block wall thing on like the freeway, or when they block off a road. It's like everything is going to hit into there. And that is when everything is going to start swooping backwards. But I mean, it could go slow, like how this has been going. I think it seems like it's going to be abrupt, but maybe it's going to be slow. I think there's going to be a point when there's going to be the energy, like as a tsunami, as the water breaks, there's going to be a point where there's going to be momentum that is going to be blasting the other direction. And it could be, though, that it seems like fast and dramatic, but it could also be just like the slow kind of thing where more information is just being shared, and only now you got more people paying attention because more people are traumatized. Like it's a slow traumatization of awakening to get people to pay attention and to recognize there's something going on. And these people who just want to keep their heads buried in the sand, like live their life from the perspective of an ostrich, then they're missing a whole opportunity that the universe is giving them to expand themselves, to gain knowledge and understanding and to see so much more than we've ever seen before. And yeah, it hurts. Yeah, it's painful and it's horrible to watch, but it isn't, there's no growth behind, just sitting with a bottle and hiding from the world, or just wherever these people can find their happy place, that they go into their their deep meditation and ignore what's happening around them. Then that is also where it's going to be. These people who are out there who are preaching about spirituality, and then all of a sudden stuff starts flipping. These people don't fucking know. How in the hell will these people know anything? They didn't even learn or grow from any of the experience. They just buried their hands. They can tell you real good, and they'll be the ones who'll teach you how to meditate, I guess, because they're able to leave this world and not pay any attention to anybody else or anything around them, and just go into their deep state of bliss, I guess. So I see it as everything that you go through, every experience is about your expansion. It's about your learning, and it's about you evolving, especially at this time right now. This is about your awareness and your own evolution and how you are going to pursue that. And I don't think there's much growth in hiding from everything, unless, there could be that people, that is what their lessons is, to get that ability to be able to distract themselves from every single thing around them. Like, I don't know. Like, it's hard to know what every soul is there to do, but to me, I say it is. It's an experience that is hard, but there's a lot of lessons, and there's a lot of stuff that people have to pay attention to, and it is going to be what is going to transform our whole entire society. We would all be lost if nobody was paying attention, and then everything falls apart, and we have to rebuild. We just would rebuild back on the same templates. And that was a template that was very destructive to our society. And we need to become more than that. We need to go back further into a time where people actually lived free and actually were independent. And, and it's going to, because people will have healed, we won't need to have overseers and governors and stuff like that, like we have been. I think that there will be some, I think a president is going to be more like a figurehead, more like for other figureheads to speak to or something. But it's not going to be making big decisions for a whole world anymore. And so I think that there's going to be something more of us being under a jurisdiction of economical jurisdiction or something. I'm not sure, but it is not going to be the same thing, and they're not going to be making rules. It's going to be a lot more about communities. Communities decide what the rules are they want, how things affect them, what kind of things that they need to pay attention to, and how they need to run their area. I mean, that was shown to us over and over. They're making rules that affect people in Alabama way different than they affect people in California. And the people, they've got everything all mixed up and messed up. And they got way too, trying to control too much. And now they even want to go bigger and go global. Like, you didn't even do good on the national. But, I mean, their whole thing is the creation of third world dependency, and all the people who think that third world countries just happened. They didn't just happen. They were forced to happen, and they're doing that right here in America. And they're doing it right in front of people. And the people don't even have the resources or reference to understand that this is repeating over and over and over. But, that's part of the awakening. So anyways, hopefully some of that stuff made sense, what I was talking about. But anyways, I do see